Hi, my name is Tina Schaefer, and we are from the New York Songwriters Circle. We're working on a bunch of blogs that are really educational and wonderful for you. One of them that we're doing today, Shinabone and I, is the interview with Russ Titelman, one of the great producers in this country, in this planet. He has worked from everybody from James Taylor to Ricky Lee Jones, Stevie Winwood, George Harrison, just to name a few. And he's here to talk with us a little bit about what it's like to choose these artists, to work with them, and where he sees the industry going, and what he thinks about singles, what he thinks about albums, a whole wealth of information. We hope that you enjoy. Thank you. Amazing, and on more of our introduction, I will go on and on about all the amazing people and artists he has worked with, but one thing that's timeless is beautiful content and recognition of that, which is something Russ and I have always shared with the Songwriters Circle. We have a kindred spirit and thread of loving great, pure, original songs and music in their original form. So we're here in this amazing apartment, which we've been privy to look at some amazing things. Russ, notably his photography, which we will hopefully be seeing more of. He's an amazing photographer. But we'll talk about that more later. What I'd like to ask you are some questions. Just what do you look for in an artist? What gives you that spark when you say, that's someone I would really love to work with?
Well, it's a complicated question, at once easy and at once not so easy, but there's a certain depth and a truth and intelligence to the greatest songwriters. They're all open, like open heart and open mind, and usually, like, the great ones are connected somehow to great poetry as well. So, like you listen to Jimmy Webb and Hugh Prestwood, who I think is really one of the finest songwriters. And Prestwood, it's like Walt Whitman.
Yes.
The same principles apply in the writing, in that he uses nature as metaphor, and but it's really all about love and loss and heart, and so there's something to that. I don't know. I mean, the artist who I got the most excited about recently was Rosabelle Gregory, who I saw at the Songwriters Circle at the bitter end, at your thing there, and she just had that quality. It was like watching Joni Mitchell when she first started.
Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah.
And I think a lot of people would think, well, what am I going to do with this? Where there's no place for this. I'm sure that they said the same thing about Corinne Bailey Rae when she first came out. Like, oh, that doesn't fit into this. There's no beat behind it. There's no,
such a wonderful combination of qualities she has with the classical. She was our finalist for the International
winner,
award.
actually.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. She's a fabulous artist.
So then you have someone like a Rosabelle, like a Ricky Lee Jones. When you meet somebody like this, how do you go about working with a delicate flower, which is an artist? How do you have your own way, your own process?
I guess so. You just have to nurture it. You have to establish a kind of trust, and there has to be mutual respect and understanding of that you're going for something. You have to agree on where you're going. And if someone's a songwriter, then you just have to, I suppose, to go through what they have and say, okay, these are the ones that we should do. That's what I think too, and hopefully they agree. Because
Do they
I'm
always?
I
know. It always seems sometimes it's easier to be on the outside of the woods than the inside as an artist.
Yeah. But there's that. I know when we first started, when Lenny Waronker and I were partners back in the 70s and early 80s, we worked with Randy Newman. We did a lot of Randy stuff, and it was all of his material. But then we worked with Ry Cooder on Paradise and Lunch, early on, 74, I think. So Rye pretty much was the one who chose the material. You know, he knew what he wanted to do. And then we got a call from James Taylor.
Really?
James wanted us, you know, he loved Rye, he loved Paradise and Lunch, he loved Ry Cooder, he loves him, I mean, he's his favorite artist to this day. George Harrison, too, loved Rye. He thought Rye was the greatest. And Randy Newman, he loved these artists. So we got a call from James. He was a Warner Brothers artist, and he wanted us to produce him. So Lenny flew to New York. He came back, then I went, I met him. I'd never met him. Like in 74, Christmas, 74. And so he played the songs that he had, and we got together, and you know, not unlike, I guess, before we worked with him, I can't remember, maybe Handyman he had already done, is that possible?
Possible, yeah.
So he had like these big hits, but not with his own songs. He had a couple, you know, I mean, he had monstrous hits with a couple of songs, but then he started doing, you know, he did You've Got a Friend, after all, you know, it's Carole King. And so, and Handyman with Jimmy Jones. So, you know, we got together and we looked at all the songs, and it was just, you know, we had Mexico, and we had, you know, Sarah Maria, and all these beautiful songs, Lighthouse. But then we kind of said, well, maybe we should try to get a hit. You know, see if we can get something that'll be like a radio hit. So we threw a bunch of ideas around, and we came up with the idea to do How Sweet It Is.
Really?
Yeah. You know, Marvin Gaye is my favorite, you know, so we just put these songs in the hat, and then we went, oh, let's do this one. You know, and he liked it. He thought that was a really good idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was the big single on that record, and then Mexico came out later. The second record, I think, was Mexico. It was also a hit, but it wasn't quite as big.
Right.
But that album is such a beautiful, perfect record, kind of in a way.
Now, when working with someone like James, you two probably are in on everything together, pretty much a partnership because of the musicians and the people you love to work with.
Yeah, and he, you know, he's a great arranger. We brought in other musicians that he hadn't worked with before, and Clarence McDonald and Andy Newmark and Willie Weeks played on about half of Gorilla, and the regular band was on the other half. It's just slightly different feel to things. But you know, his band, one of the greatest bands there ever was. Ever. Yeah.
And what about Ricky Lee Jones, one of my favorite artists? What was it like working with such a unique talent?
Yeah, that was quite an interesting and a demanding experience. And you know, she was green. She'd never been in the studio. She did a demo, you know, just guitar and voice. She'd never been in the studio.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you discover her?
So Lenny and Teddy, actually, I was in England working with George Harrison, and Lenny called me and said, there's this girl here in LA, there's a buzz about her, and I'm going to send you a cassette. We should do this record. So he sent it to me. There was Easy Money on it, Chucky's in Love, Young Blood, Danny's All-Star Junk, I think, was on there. Company was on there. Company. Like,
unbelievable.
Was it? You know, there was, what else was on? There was something else. I have it still. I have the little demo. But and then there was Company, this ballad, and Lenny was talking about the songwriting, and I got the thing, and I heard Company, and I couldn't believe my ears. I thought, this girl sings like Roberta Flack. Yeah. This vocal is as great as a Roberta Flack vocal, which is saying something.
Saying something, big time.